my name is Justin, and in this series of videos, I'll be giving you my honest review of music and guitar books so that you will be informed and make a good decision when you buy all these books. Do like and subscribe for more review videos coming up soon. Like many guitarists, sometimes we like the idea of being self-taught, and the idea of buying a good guitar book to further our skills is a very enticing thing to do. More so than ever, music publishing companies are coming out with more books focused on broad topics or specialized topics. And I'll be honest, I have bought books that have been less than stellar, and I wish that there was more than just Amazon reviews that would have helped me to avoid buying those bad books. So that's why I'm doing these videos, so that you will be more informed of that decision before you decide to buy a book. So the book that I will be reviewing today is called Walking Bass for Jazz Guitar by Martin Taylor. Alright, Martin Taylor is one of the world's best jazz guitarists, and he is well known for being a fantastic jazz fingerstyle player as well. This book is published by a company called Fundamental Changes, and you can check out their catalog through the website. I'll give you the link below. I highly recommend their books. I think they are great. Walking bass for guitar is a style where you play and imitate the sound of a double bass, a walking double bass, alongside your guitar chords, so you sound like two instruments tackling a jazz standard. It is a very self-sufficient way of playing, especially if you're the only harmonic instrument in a duo or trio situation. I myself use this technique, and it really serves the songs that need that extra bit of drive and swing. For example, a standard like Autumn Leaves, for example. Something like that, okay? Now this kind of style is not something that you're going to do often in a gig. You probably just want to reserve it for one or two songs, because if you do this style too often, what's going to happen is that it gets very old very easily in a gig. It gets very tiring and monotonous. But it's definitely a ear-catching style that if you perform in a gig, you get a lot of attention, because it really is quite a good sound and a skill to watch and hear. So let me talk a bit about the size of the book, the physical aspects of it. This book comes in about 90 pages, and what I like about the books that Fundamental Changes, the publishing company, does is when they publish the books is their size. It is not too big that it becomes too cumbersome to place on the music stand, and it's not too small either. 90 pages is pretty good. You can open the book and leave it flat without it, folding over, because it's just too thick. The print quality is pretty decent, so it won't tear so easily. It's a very durable book, and you can still write on it. That's the good thing about this book. The text and the diagrams are pretty decent size. I think anybody can read it easily. It's not too small, the text and the words. However, due to the slightly smaller size of the book, I think if you have problems reading because of your eyesight, you have eyesight problems, or you have difficulty reading too small a font, this might be a slight issue, but I find that it's a good, decent size for the fonts and the style. So here's what I like about the book. Number one, the whole book is broken down into 12 chapters, and each chapter is very detailed. It's easy to follow, and much care is given to explain the concept step by step. There's not a lot of space in the book, meaning that they don't leave it to you to find out the concepts for yourself. They really break it down per chapter, and I think each chapter is short enough to be decent and easy to complete. Now for point number two, there are no big jumps in the skill level. In my opinion, a mistake that some authors make is that when they write the book, the difficulty level from chapter to chapter is very stark. You might even have the difficulty of the playing level within the same chapter jump a lot, and it makes it very difficult for you to follow through the whole book. In this book, however, I think a lot of care was taken into consideration so that the reader would be led along, and it's easy to follow to reach the objectives of the chapter, and you really learn the concepts very well. It's very well broken down. Okay, for point number 3, The book doesn't stray very much from its title and is very much focused on walking bass only. Another thing that makes a bad guitar book is when the author writes a certain topic but strays off a little bit into a topic that's nothing to do with the main title, or maybe the topic is too broad. Sometimes too broad a title, like for example, learn how to play jazz guitar, might be a bit too broad a topic to squeeze into one book. So it's always good to get books that focus on a specialized skill. However, I do understand that maybe sometimes it's easier to sell books that have a broader spectrum on the subject. Point number 4 is, having read a few books on this topic, I was very pleased to find that the author, Martin Taylor, had included some special techniques on imitating the bass sound, like triplets, you know, that you hear a lot of double bass do. And I find that compared to other double bass books, they usually leave this topic out about the special effects, like for example, you know, that you want to imitate the walking bass players do. And this book really includes that chapter or that topic, which is, I think, is a nice touch. He also includes some of his personal techniques, which is unique to his style, which I thought gave the book much value for money. So that's point number 4. Point number 5 is, very practical information is given to the examples or to the concepts. Like for example, he talks about how to play with different dynamics with your fingers, between your fingers and your thumb, to create different sounds. For example, like this, you know, or like you drag the bass note longer, or the chord longer, or you make your bass note softer and the chord louder, you know, or you make the chord louder, or make the bass note louder, sorry. Okay, so he talks about that in detail, which I think is very important as a musician to have dynamics. So here are a few negative things that I think are present in the book. Walking bass is a very jazz guitar related topic, and unless you have some knowledge of jazz related theory, you might find it tricky to get some of the concepts and music theory that he touches upon in this book, namely with the minor 7 chords, or the idea of chords being able to move up and down, like this for example, you know, or 2-5-1s and all that. So I think some consultation with someone who knows jazz would be useful, and you have to really want to learn walking bass and understand some of this concept before you buy this book. Don't just buy this book on a whim, just because you think that it's an extra skill you want to pick up. I think it's very important to realize that you want to learn walking bass to include as part of your playing in your gig, in order to really benefit from this book. The second thing is, you know, at the end of the book, he includes 3 full song studies that puts all the concepts together. However, I felt that the book could have used with much shorter song studies every 2, 3 or 4 chapters, so that the reader can put to use in a practical way, so that he can learn the concepts that are already touched on, instead of squeezing everything into those 3 songs. And furthermore, the 3 songs that he includes can be technically demanding, and thus quite overwhelming for the reader to dive into and attempt to complete. So some small examples based on standards, maybe just one round of the form, would have been very useful. Alright, so in conclusion, I think this is a very fantastic book for anyone interested in this topic. As I said before, it is a very specialized topic that I wouldn't recommend you to buy on a whim, unless it's something that you are particularly interested in and you want to use for your gigs or for your playing. You know, for me, I've learned a few new concepts from this book, and I think that says a lot about the quality of the lessons presented in the book, because I have used walking bass in my gigs, I have studied it, and the fact that I've learned some new concepts, I think it's very useful and worth the value for money. The cost of the book is not expensive as well, and is very affordable for the quality of the book. In fact, you should check out the rest of the books. It's not too expensive, and they do touch on very specialized topics. So all in all, I would give this book about a 9.5 over 10, which is really very good. I highly recommend this book. So if you are interested in this book, go get it.